Okay, hey, and we're back. It's the next day. And what we got going on is we're working on this 5150 replica that we got with the poplar body. Just a quick rundown of the work that we've done so far. We've obviously got the wood, cut it out, the shape, routed to perimeter, did some basic edge sanding. We did the round over, we did the cavities, the rear tremolo route, the rear cavity route, the rear cavity cover plate route, the neck screw holes, the humbucker, the front tremolo cutout, and the neck cavity or neck pocket. So yesterday we had done the arm contour here, and I think I've got this audio figured out on the camera, so maybe this will be a little bit more easy to listen to from now on, and you'll actually be able to hear what I'm saying. I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to this stuff. I spend too much time doing my own thing, not in much time doing videos and things. But anyway, so yesterday we were doing the forearm contour with the radius on there using a variety of different tools. Today we're going to do what's called the belly cut. And we're doing this accurate to a Series B pacer, which was what the original 5150 guitar probably was. And all the templates and all the cavities and everything were made directly by myself off of an actual guitar from that era, B Series guitar. I've got stuff from Musicraft before from Scott, and it's absolutely fantastic stuff. And you know, I'd recommend probably going that route and getting yourself a neck and a body for what I've seen them go for $350, $400 for the set, and save yourself a lot of work. But if you like to do things and like to just, you know, spend an hour or two a day building stuff or just goofing around, it's really a lot of fun, and you know, you learn a lot, and it can be done with really kind of basic tools. So today we're going to do this this belly cut, and the primary tool that we're going to use to do that, we showed you yesterday, is what's called the Surform. And what it is it's like a file, except it has knives instead of, you know, sort of like the grooves of the file to do the cutting, and it's very aggressive. These, I've said, were used a lot to shape surfboards, you know, cutting out the, shaping all the styrofoam before they went ahead and, you know, glassed them over. And they really work well with wood for taking out a lot of material in a short period of time. So we're going to use this for doing most of the material removal. And then we'll go back to this sort of contraption here, which is just our inflatable drum, which is really cool, loaded with some 100 grit sandpaper and installed in a drill. So we can just kind of go in there and work it. I used to mount it, sometimes I mount it in the drill press, but I think for this job it's kind of good to be able to really kind of see what you're doing as opposed to kind of looking over the body to see what your progress is like. So we'll be finishing up with that. We've drawn our line as to a basic rough outline of where we want the belly contour or the belly cut to be. And like I was talking yesterday, I always like to do the forearm contour first, because that I feel is like the most definitive contour, and the rear belly contour really follows how this is shaped, because what you're going to want to end up with is like about a 3/4 inch sort of let's say graceful round over across the body here, and where this is positioned really influences how far you go back with this contour here. And if you do this first and you go too far, you're really not going to be able to do your forearm contour right. And this one I feel is easy to get in the right position, and then just go ahead and do the belly part to conform with where that contour on the forearm cut is. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that, and we're going to clamp this down to the table again using some big C-clamps and some cork to protect the body so we don't end up denting it. So we're just going to go and lock this down, and we're going to use 2 clamps, obviously, for maximum sort of rigidity. Okay, so we got those. So now we got a nice rigid setup. We don't have any purple drink, so we're gonna have to go with pink drink today, but gotta have that. So take a sip of the pink drink, get our dust mask on, and work gloves. Always a plus. Like I said, my hands are pretty calloused, but you can still get blisters, and I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than having to work while your hands are all blistered up. So better just put on a pair of gloves. Okay, so we're going to move this clamp a little bit more towards the horn, so that allows us to get a better shot for the camera, better angle here, as well as a better sort of angle with the surf horn. All right, so we're just going to go and start hogging away. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes or so, and we've gotten a lot of progress done on the body. But I wanted to give you some close-up views of what we're doing and what we're trying to get to. So I'm going to just grab the camera here, and I'm going to try to bring you in on some close-ups here. So let me move this, and we can sort of see what we got. So here we have the body, okay? And this is sort of where we've been able to bring it all to at this point. And what I want to show you is a way that you can sort of guide yourself is this line here. See how it's going up a little bit and up more? So that's telling us we basically want most of this flat in here at the same point, at the same depth of cut, up till around, let's say here, and then it'll start going up. So we're looking pretty good right here. We've done enough work here. Where we need to finish is more here. So this is really how you want to sort of check your progress, because you're holding your surf form at a consistent angle. So when that angle cuts the wood down to meet your line on the edge here, giving yourself maybe 3/4 of an inch or so, maybe actually more like 7/8, maybe somewhere around there, of material left untouched, you know you're about done. Now you want to stop a little bit short of where you think is perfect, because you're going to want to do all the finish sanding and get rid of all these coarse sort of tool marks left by the surf form. So, you know, we're probably going to do another 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to switch over to the inflatable sander on the drill to kind of clean it all up. All right, so I'm going to bring this back up again, and we're going to keep going, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we're back, and we've basically brought this contour all the way down to the line that we had drawn on the side of the body, and we've got a nice sort of graceful arc of how it's coming to. And now the next step would be to clean up all the tool marks, and as we said, we're going to be using this inflatable sander mounted on a hand drill here with 100 grit on there, and we're just going to I'm going to show you how it works. We're just kind of let it rip. And here you definitely want your dust mask on. It creates a lot of dust. And although gloves aren't necessary really, I'd keep them on. But sometimes you have a tendency maybe to touch the drum while you're sanding, and that can leave a little mark. That may not feel so good. So anyway, this is how we're going to want to do it. So we're just going to crank it on. Okay, so that took about another 5 or 10 minutes or so worth of working that drum sander in this cut here to smooth out all the tool marks. So I'll give you a kind of a close-up sort of look of what we got going on here, so you can kind of see what we're talking about. So we've smoothed it all out. And now the next thing we're going to want to do is we've got still a little bit, we've got that sharp edge, right along here. And that has to be blended into the radius that's created by the top round over. So we're still going to use that, that drum sander and just kind of go very lightly at it, because you can remove a lot of material quickly with one of these things. So you can either make your job a lot easier or you can make it a lot harder, because you might have to start again if you take out a lot of wood that you shouldn't have. So this looks pretty good here, so we're just going to go and now do that rounding over of the edge there. So I'm going to put the camera back up on the pedestal here. And we're just basically going to do that round over part there. I'll sort of show you how that goes. So we got our gloves back on. Obviously we want our dust mask. For this, it gets pretty bad, especially when you're getting close to the material to see what you're doing. Speaking of which, put on our glasses covered in sawdust, just so we can get a good idea of what we're doing. And this is sort of how we're going to do it. A variable speed drill is obviously a plus, so you can kind of back it off a little bit speed wise. And just kind of roll the drum along the edge. And once you think you've got it pretty close to where you want it, which I think we do, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to that smaller drum that I showed you earlier, which is a little less aggressive. So I'm going to go and get that, inflate it, and bring it over here and continue on. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the smaller drum here. And this is loaded with 220. We're going to go and chuck this into the drill. And then we can continue working on this roundover section here. And being that it's you know, a lighter grit, finer grit, we don't have as much chance as taking a lot of material off, and we can do some blending, and also leaves a much smoother finish. And I think that should probably do. And the rest we could really just take care of in the final sanding with the rubber or foam block to kind of blend everything in there when we're removing all the fine scratches from the 100 grit or 220. Being that this is an opaque guitar and an Eddie guitar, there's not really a whole lot of need to sand the guitar up above. Really, I mean, 120 might be as far as you really need to go, considering that you're just shooting, you know, rattle can paint over it and not doing any really leveling or polishing like you would if you're building, you know, an SG Les Paul kind of, you know, more of a furniture guitar. This is obviously much more rudimentary. So I think we're about done with the woodworking on this guitar. There's only 2 parts left to do. Or 3, I should say, but I usually leave those till after the guitar, well, 2 of them I'm going to leave till after the guitar is assembled, or until after it's painted, rather. The volume knob, I usually do after the guitar is painted, as well as the side jack. I just don't think that's necessary to do it beforehand, and then you end up having to clear those holes of paint anyway. So I usually drill those out afterwards. I will install the Floyd posts, and I'll get the guitar actually to a playable condition before I go ahead and even start to even think about painting it at all. That's a good idea, you know, to make sure that you've got a playable instrument, that your angles are all set up, that there aren't any major goof ups that you're going to have to do woodworking with once it's painted. You know, then you've got a problem with doing patchwork and things like that. So I'll just give you a look at the belly cut so you get a good idea of what that looks like. So here we have it. You can see it's nice and blended in to the front radius. Has a nice graceful curve to it. There's no lumps or chops in it. That's all just really a function of using the right tools and kind of getting a feel for what you want to do. Really we're going to do some final finish sanding on it, maybe get the whole guitar finished to 120. And then we're going to put it together. I have a neck that we're going to use for it that's already done. We might build a neck for this guitar as well, but I've got one that's a spare that's laying around that I've already built and painted and done some relic work on. So we're probably going to use that as a surrogate neck to set the guitar up and make sure everything's going well. So thanks for watching, and I guess the next video will be putting the guitar together in what's called in the white. So that's about it for today. I'll see you later.